Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting from the Jazz Standard here in New York City. Blessing the band stage is composer as well as band leader Theo Croker. And as you might know, a couple of years ago, I introduced you guys to this budding composer as well as trumpeter when he released his debut record on DDB Records entitled The Astrophysicist. Tonight he's playing music from his brand new record, Escape Velocity, which is on DDB Records. And I had a chance to break bread with him to talk about, one, the band Dark Funk, where he is musically, as well as Mr. Croker has decided to take a leap forward musically with his career by, one, enhancing the digital divide. He has a dynamic profile which is on Tidal, which is owned and started by rapper and now music mogul Jay-Z. We talked about the importance of the digital divide, how he's bringing a new audience as well as bringing a new dynamic to his music and his fans sonically with Tidal. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the highlights of the official record release performance of Theo Croker and Dark Funk and their performance for Escape Velocity here on the Pace Report, reporting live from the Jazz Standard here in New York City. Second time's the charm, man. Congratulations. I was talking to Casa a little while ago about this record because he co-produced this with you. You guys are going for the jugular on this one.
That's kind of our style in general. But this one, yes, definitely went for the jugular.
You know, this record is a little more darker, well, dark funk, of course, but I want to ask you, because there is a metaphysical correlation to some of the songs that you wrote to this album. I just want to know where you are musically, and why do you feel at this stage of the game that it is time for a new direction for jazz?
Well, I don't even know if it's necessarily that I feel that way or that's just what it is. How long can we continue to glorify the past of any type of music and of jazz, and ignore, the innovations that's going on all around the music? We don't. I personally don't want to see jazz become a museum piece or a conservatory study. That to me seems not derogatory, but it just seems backwards to all the innovators and all the Max Roaches and Miles Davis and Charlie Parkers. They weren't being classic, they were being innovative, and respectful always to a tradition, but still they were being present.
Because I was really proud of you, and I want to piggyback on. I read the essay that you wrote for Title for your page, and there seems to be a very bad disconnect between our generation and the older generation. There's like this neoclassicism that has really kind of permeated in the jazz clubs to the universities, and like you said, there has to be something that everyone's got to start doing that's going against the grain.
Yes, and it's already being done. I mean, I think the biggest disconnect is with the audience. When I play gigs that are classic jazz gigs or like jazz cruises and things like that, it's very much an older audience, and I mean older than the revival neoclassic movement of jazz. It's older than the young lions of the 80s and 90s. So, I mean, it may have been an attempt to maintain that audience and not lose that audience that wants to hear that, and as they should be allowed to hear that very classic, interpretation of jazz. But it's people are getting younger also, and if we don't bring a younger audience to the music, not without sacrificing the music, but if we don't bring a younger audience to the music by being contemporary, which is the same way that people in their 70s were brought to jazz. It was something contemporary. John Coltrane played my favorite things. Cannonball Adderley played Fiddler on the Roof. Miles Davis played Autumn Leaves. I mean, those were contemporary songs of the time that brought people to jazz. It wasn't like that. Those songs were written to be jazz, So I agree in just doing the same thing. And people are doing it. Christian Scott's doing it. Obviously, Kamasi Washington's doing it. Robert Glasper kind of broke down the wall for doing it. And there's numerous others. I can't even name them all off the top of my head.
And I want to piggyback on something that you said. Cannonball Adderley did an electronic version of Gemini.
Yeah.
Miles Davis went fusion and hip hop.
Yes, he did.
Joe Zawinul. I mean, he was out there, and he was out there. And then I look at guys that even Coltrane. He left and did Ascension, which really kind of took him in a whole nother stratosphere.
I mean, I feel like there's more Coltrane recordings of not standard jazz than there are of standard jazz. I mean, he was going. Coltrane had to live like 12 more years. I can't imagine him not having 4 drummers and 2 bass players and using a Fender Rhodes. And I mean, it's just, why would you not? Clifford Brown. Imagine Clifford Brown playing funk.
Right.
That'd be a whole other level to it, and he would have. There's nothing to make me believe those cats would have been like, nah, we're gonna keep on suit and ties and stay with this, that period. And it's a funny thing to me too, because that period, the 40s, well, all of it, the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and 50s, and 60s, and 70s was not the easiest time for African Americans in America. So why we want to hold on to that so much? Why we want to hold on to that image, and that why we want to keep that as the contemporary? I understand it, but I'm not gonna flow with that.
You know, the last couple of weeks here in America has not been the most picture perfect for people of color.
No.
And on this CD, you did "We Can't Breathe," which is a song about the great Eric Garner. And I want to ask you, as a musician and as a historian to the tradition, why do you think there has been a lack of, one, musicians from all genres of music not speaking out? Because hip hop, between, I would say, the message was Grandmaster Flash to about 94, 95, the glory days of hip hop.
Yeah.
Those guys are really speaking of the issues of the times, and now it seems like we're silent.
Well, I don't think we're silent. I just think, now there's commercialism has been involved, and as soon as any kind of corporate entity can control more of the message, a lot of people that own rap labels or run that business also own the prison system. So they putting it all together. They're perpetuating a certain image, but there's still cats that are really out there telling you the truth. I mean, Kendrick Lamar, I don't understand how Kendrick Lamar is not public enemy #1 to the state and the people that he doesn't represent, because he told a lot of truth on his last record. A lot of truth. I was afraid for the brother. A lot of truth. And there's a lot of people out there, doing that. It's just not seen in the mainstream, but it doesn't have to. I feel like, and vibrations are intentional. So anytime you put out proper vibrations or high vibrations, they'll reach who they're supposed to reach and how. And they're accessible to anybody that wants to rise to that level. And the low vibrations, they do the same on the opposite end of the spectrum. So it's really about seeking who's saying the message that you need to hear.
Because I thought that it was very, very prevalent. And also, I have to commend you, because I'm like, even in the jazz circles, I'm like, ain't nobody really talking about what's going on right now. And I think it speaks of volumes about how what you're feeling right now and what America's feeling right now, some of America.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of cats doing it, but there's a way to do it. I believe in being respectful, and I'm not here to incite any kind of anger or violence or just destroy or unbuild anything. I believe that you put the message out there, it will get there, and it's out there. I mean, Nick Payton's another brother that does it a lot. I mean, it's there. Even Roy Hargrove, just in his presence, is clear. So I mean, it's not so much that it's not being said. It's just not the mainstream, and it's never going to be the mainstream. We all know that. But there's a way to do it. We're not standing on top of buildings with megaphones. I think that's not a waste of time, but not the best use of our energy. I think it's better to go inward and create and leave record and records or history behind, and continue to try to vibrate higher and reach more people. It's about coming together. It's not about separating. It's not about calling out this person or that person. That just perpetuates the cycle of damage and oppression.
Dark Funk is your ensemble, and as we going back earlier, you're going for the juggler. You have some very incredible musicians that are very, one, music forward, but two, they really are bringing a very unique voice to the tradition. And I'm wondering, how has it been for you the last couple of years communicating your musical ideas with these guys?
Oh, well, I mean, it's been fantastic because we all come to the table as musicians that want to push ourselves and each other. We never come in a state of comfort. We never come with any kind of complacent attitude towards playing music, especially with Didi or ourselves. And any time where we may inadvertently slip into that, we get an awakening real quick because it doesn't happen. The music, the vibe is just, it leaves us. So we have to return to continually being open and exploring as much as we can, learning tunes and studying stuff. I mean, we all listen to the same stuff when we're traveling. We send each other stuff. We read a lot of the same books. We really are like a family, and that really helps transcend the music to the point where it's technically not even dark funk anymore. We just don't have a new name yet, but we're Xing that because it's grown. We've realized that we have grown as a unit beyond that. So now we need a name that more represents all of what we can encompass and all of what we can deal with.
There's a thing. I'm tired of the whole neo soul. I'm tired of these labels. And what you and Kamasi and Christian, what you guys are doing, Keon Harold.
Yeah.
I just call it new music because we're at a point now where we're creating a new energy that it's new music and it's fresh ears, as Miles Davis said.
Yes. I mean, it's sad that it has to have labels. It should just be live music or recorded music. But as long as there are labels, I will always fight to name it whatever I want to name it. Not have it be named by someone else and put into a category that pleases a company or the masses. It's never going to be my thing, or Christians, or any of us. He's calling his music stretch music, and it is that. We're just picking out what it is that means something to us when we title our music, so that somebody can't take it and then say what they want it to be or how they perceive it to be or what, because it can only be received as the individual wants to receive it, but it can only be broadcasted as we choose to broadcast it. So calling it jazz or calling it whatever you want, new soul music, whatever you want to call it, isn't going to change what it is. It's actually what we broadcast is going to make it that thing that we name it.
Theo, you have embraced the digital age, and Tidal has, I looked at your profile on Tidal, and I'm sitting around going, wow. And I want your take on Tidal because Jay-Z, again, he's a visionary. The guy's done phenomenal with Tidal, and now he's about to sell Tidal. And
every time somebody makes something better than iTunes, they buy it.
Yeah.
And then we go back to mediocrity, and we go back to sharing our profits too much. And
what do you think about Tidal? What do you think, and what drew you to Tidal? Because Apple Music is trying to get in the game, and Tidal sticks out because a lot of the musicians like yourself decided we're not going to put our stuff on traditional platforms. We want to take control of our product.
Right. Well, unfortunately, I had to put it out on every platform possible, but maybe that will change in the future. But I was drawn to Tidal because I felt like it wasn't so overbearing. It wasn't so much stuff. When you go on iTunes and you go to the jazz pages, everybody's got a record. Everybody's somebody. Everybody's got reviews. And it's like it gives me a headache. I don't even know where to start. And Tidal seems a little more, they have so much stuff, but it's a little more controlled, the presentation of it, to where they can present somebody to you and you can get into that person, get through their music, get into their catalog, and then move on to something else. I'm not seeing Frank Sinatra on the charts on Tidal, or like Kinda Blue, and that's a great record. Obviously, one of the greatest selling records of all time. But how are we supposed to move music forward if we're constantly just comparing everybody to folks who are not here anymore with us? There should be a classics. Keep that in the classics, So I feel like Tidal music isn't so much focused on that, like trying to get you to listen to Kind of Blue or trying to get you to listen to Frank Sinatra's greatest hits. They want you to hear what's actually happening right now and connect with people. And I think Tidal has the youngest audience.
And also, I swear I read your essay, and then also I like the fact that you put together a list of songs of artists that people need to be peeping out. I think that's very much on ahead of the curve.
Yeah, well, that took me a while. That took me days. It took me a whole week over my winter vacation, and I know some artists I had to email because I didn't know their age, and I was like, "What's your latest album?" Because I couldn't tell, and I tried to find a song from all of the artists that I know on the scene, or kind of know, or have heard of, that I felt represented where the music is going on its own. Not like these people are trying to make it move. No, everybody, it sounded natural that they're playing that way, and so I tried to compile all of it, and I got exposed to a lot of people. I got to hear a lot of people's music. I can't remember how, like 154 artists or something like that. I listened to all the records and all the tunes, and that was kind of my vacation over the holiday. But it was great because it informed me on and made me feel it inspired me on how much we are moving forward, as a people who are involved in supporting this music.
What would you say as far as your fans, listening fans? How many fans have you gained through Tidal? Because this is like last couple of years, the Tidal's really been making a mark.
I don't really know because those numbers, they're not that easy to get a hold of. So I'm not even sure. But I know a lot of the younger people that come up to me when we travel who have heard my music found it on Tidal. So that, to me, has been really interesting, on the comeback, because I'm on all the platforms. But it seems to be Tidal is the one that has connected to the youngest, the edgiest audience. Like a lot of hip-hop people or people that are clearly into hip-hop and rap come up to me and are like, I'm not really into jazz, but I saw your article, and then I started listening to your music, and then I found Christian Scott, and I found all of this other, I found all these other artists through that article. So that, to me, was really inspiring to be able to be involved in a platform that has the audience, has the ear of a young audience.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting from the Jazz Standard here in New York City. I'd like to personally congratulate and thank Theo Croker and the members of Dark Funk for their time. Please make sure you go out and buy his brand new CD, Escape Velocity, which is on DDB Records, as well as you can buy it on Amazon.com, Google Play, as well as iTunes. I'd like to personally thank the staff and management here at the Jazz Standard for their warm hospitality. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column, as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.